Good evening. I'd like to call the Water Pollution Control Authority and regular Town Council meeting of North Branford for Tuesday, October 15, 2024 to order at 6:34. Please join me in a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call.
Mayor Angeloni.
Here.
Deputy Mayor McMillan.
Present.
Counselor Abelson.
Here.
Counselor Diamond.
Here.
Counselor Goad.
Here.
Counselor Miller.
Here.
Counselor Palladino.
Here.
Counselor Palicia.
Here.
And Counselor Zampano.
Here.
Okay. Next item is minutes of previous meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the September 17th, 2024 WPCA and Town Council
Motion
meeting?
to approve.
Second. Okay. Discussion. I did see some corrections here. Let me just, first one. Minor corrections about spelling of names and things, so we will just let that go for now. I'm not going to waste some time on it. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Abstain.
Any other abstentions? I believe there were two people.
Me, abstain.
Okay. Motion passes. Water Pollution Control Authority. First item, citizen statements regarding WPCA. There any citizen? Okay. No unfinished business, no business, and citizen statements and petitions regarding WPCA. None. Moving on to regular Town Council meeting, community events and presentations. And we have a presentation from Walter Mann from Totucket TV.
Hi, good evening, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak and to bring you up to date on Totucket TV and also some of the challenges that we are facing. First of all, Totucket TV, as most of you may know, we rent a building from the town at 1675 Foxen Road in North Branford. We also have control rooms to cover meetings both here at Town Council as well as the Stanley T. Williams Community Center for Board of Ed meetings. And at the building at 1675 Foxen, when we did move in there, we did invest a sizable amount of money in the interior of the building. Of course, the town did a lot on the exterior as well. We also invested about $60,000 in the setup at Stanley T. Williams, as well as another $60,000 here at Town Hall for the robotic cameras and the switcher and all the equipment that we have. So we have invested a lot in what we do here in the town. As well, we cover the town meetings we cover. We pay our staff to cover that. The town was great several years back to allow an annual contribution of $13,000 to Totucket TV that allows us to recoup those costs that we're paying the staff to cover the town meetings. The history of cable TV and community TV is that when cable TV came in the 1970s to this area, part of what they had to do to offer cable service was to get a certificate from the state of Connecticut Department of Public Utility Control. And to do that, there were certain things that they had to agree to do, since they were using public rights of way that those telephone poles sit on. Funding that had to be sent to the gross receipts tax to the state, as well as collecting funds from subscribers to help supply funding for us to operate as a community TV station. What has happened, though, over the years, and we're facing basically an existential problem right now, is that as cable TV cord cutting continues to accelerate, our funding is based upon, in the law, the amount of cable television subscribers we serve. Every day nationally, there are about 22,000 people that cut the cord with cable TV. And so for each subscriber, if we get about $10 a year, every time they disconnect cable TV from their house, we lose $10. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it adds up. And so we are facing a big threat in terms of our survival. A bunch of community TV stations got together over the past couple of years and hired a lobbyist. Last year we used Focus Government Affairs, and our lobbyist was Mike Bezdaira, and did a great job for us. We met with the minority and majority party leaders. We even had to sit down with the governor in his office and said, look, here's the problem. First of all, we're losing money every time a cable subscriber drops cable TV. We lose funding. As well, the state has lost over $35 million in gross receipts taxes, because every time a subscriber drops cable TV, the state loses that money. And as well, because Connecticut is the only state in the country that gives personal property tax exemptions to cable TV companies, municipalities in the state have lost about $80 million. So Comcast, for example, anything they own that is in Branford or North Branford or any municipality, they're not taxed on. Only state in the country that offers that benefit to cable TV companies. The governor's interest was piqued into looking into that issue, but as far as our plight, his words to me were that he was not in favor of what he calls broadening the tax on cable TV companies, which, as I'm sure if you read the news, they're doing phenomenally well, or at least the internet portion of those companies is. So, we had asked for a bill to be passed that would change the laws up at the state so that our funding would be based on subscribers, internet subscribers, not just cable TV subscribers. But of course, Comcast hired a lot of lobbyists and fought vigorously. And the governor said that he just was not in favor of that. I said to him point blank, we're not asking for more. We're just asking for you to have a law change, to support a law change that would at least allow us to stay where we are and not continue to have our funding erode. He was not in favor of that. So without him, and with the likelihood that he would veto a bill, we got nowhere with that. And we tried year after year for the last 5 years up at the state level to come up with some sort of resolve for this. In the meantime, at the local level, I should say that I'm the full-time executive director of NHTV in North Haven, which is the North Haven version of Tutuka TV, and I'm the part-time station manager both at Tutuka TV and at Branford Community TV, BCTV. I've met with both Jamie Cosgrove, the mayor, or the first selectman of Branford, and Mike Frieda, the first selectman of North Haven, separately, and gone over this issue with them. I will say that currently in Branford's case, the town contributes about the same to BCTV as the town of North Branford does. It's around $13,000. In North Haven's case, the town contributes about $60,000 to NHTV. So we do get a lot more support from the town of North Haven. Nonetheless, I approached both Jamie Cosgrove and Mike Frieda, made them aware of the problem like I'm letting you folks know, and said that at some point, this erosion of cable TV subscribers is basically going to kill us. It's going to happen at some point, and it's speeding up now as we speak. Both first selectmen from those towns pledged that as that begins to accelerate and gets detrimental to us operating, that they would step up with funding to supplant what we will have lost. So I'm on good footing knowing that NHTV in North Haven will continue and that BCTV in Branford will. I want to pass out, just so you have some background data, I put together our income from both Frontier and Comcast over the last, back to 2017. So you can have an idea at least our losses. And I'll quickly review this and then I'll stop. Thank you. Other things to discuss. So.
Thank you.
Yes. So just quickly, point out a couple of things on here. As I said, both cable TV providers, Frontier and Comcast, by law are required to collect that roughly $10 fee from each cable TV subscriber. So if you look at the 4 columns, it'll tell you the year, the cable system, and the total. So if we started 2017, we were about $57,000 a year. And you've seen, as you go down here, how it's dropped. You'll see an uptick in 2022, and that was because PURA, formerly the DPUC, decided, because it's within their realm of authority, to bump up our funding, and they ordered the cable TV companies that year to bump up our funding. So for that 1 year in 2022, that's why it went from 51 to 57. That was a one-time only 1 year event, and now as you can see, we've dropped back down to about 52,500. And then for the first 3 quarters of this year, we're at 34,000. Looking at how things continue to rapidly and deteriorate, my guess is that we'll probably end up this year down to about a total income from them of 44,000. I've seen that per quarter we're losing about $800 where it used to be $500. So the reason why I wanted to come to the town council was just to make you all aware of this. I think what we do, both with our internships, but more importantly with our coverage of town meetings and bringing town government to people's homes, both on TV and on YouTube. So we are streaming our stuff. It's not just for people who had cable TV. But I think we do perform an important service to the town. We do election coverage, debates, different types of things. We also have supplied equipment to the media program at the high school and continue to do so, working with Nick over there, Nick DeLizio. But I wanted to come to the town council and let you know what we're facing and let you know that at least in North Haven and North Branford so far, I've received some, very good indication of support from those both first selectmen, and I wanted to at least make you aware, and hopefully it's something that you would consider as we go forward as things worsen for us at offsetting, like North Haven and North Branford have indicated they will do. If that doesn't happen at some point, we will just cease to exist. The cable TV companies are very resistant. The governor is resistant. Ironically, Maine just passed a law that saves community TV by changing the language in the statute, and the cable TV company said, great, we're not doing it, sue us. So the state of Maine likely will sue, the major cable or internet providers up there in Maine. So they're very difficult to deal with, and I just wanted to make you aware. Hopefully there is some support at the town level to see us continue, like I've been able to get in the other towns that I work in, and I look forward to your support. And if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. On to reports of committees, boards, and commissions. First one is economic development.
I have nothing to report. Next meeting is November 4th.
Okay. I know, just because I went to some of them, that we've had a number of ribbon cuttings in town. And the one I went to was Aaliyah's on Route 139, which is the old, they are in the Brook and Whittle building on 139. And it was a very nice ribbon cutting. They had multiple buildings in Branford that they were operating out of, and they are now under one roof. And they are actually a manufacturer, and they do, a big item is gluten-free items. And they just actually started operating there about 3 or 4 weeks ago, because they had a lot of work to do in that building, because it was a print shop, and they converted it into a food manufacturing. And they have done a tremendous amount of work, and they really cleaned that place up. And it's, we are very fortunate to have that business in our town and to occupy that space. And I think they will be a good community partner for the town, and it was really nice. And I know there were a number of other ribbon cuttings that we had orchestrated through, Rory does a lot with the EDC and organizing these, so thank you, Rory, on doing all of that. So, next one is Park and Rec. Park and Rec met on Tuesday, September 24th. There's been a lot of discussion on the signs that get put up at the various fields, whether it's football or baseball fields, and uniformity of signs. So they did pass some regulations as to size and make of the signs that will be going forward in regards to that. Also, the repairs to STW with the funding that was appropriated in the roof repair. There was money that was left over in that project, and the council voted to have that money go for repairs of the building. For some reason, they are not put on the permanent project building committee agendas at all. And that was referred to permanent project months ago. So if you could just check on that, and when it does happen, just let them know, because they do have people that are appointed. And I know as projects are kind of coming, winding down, they will have some space, and it probably doesn't have to be every week. So you can talk between permanent project and Jesse, the director, to see how often they want to go on the schedule. In regards to that. And then there was also discussion in regards to the Blueprint Committee and request from the Blueprint Committee as to how often and the extent how all the fields are used. And the issue becomes is the organizations ask for the permits, and the Park and Rec Department issues the permits, and they've done a good job in not doing blanket permits like was done in the past, and they've controlled that somewhat, but they do not Park and Rec does not regulate their schedules. Each individual sport regulates their schedules. So that is not information that the Park and Rec Department has, and I'm not sure how they would get that besides having to go to each individual sports and asking them, how many times did you use this field? What are you, because they just don't regulate that information. So the Blueprint Committee, I'm not exactly sure what they need for that. And they're gonna have to try and work something out to get that information. So that was another thing that came up in regards to that. And then also the Autumn Nights at Augur, which is the autumn concert series, which they put into effect this year. So they held 3 concerts. Started out a little slow, and then it picked up great. The one on October 3rd and October 10th. October 10th was a reschedule from September 26th. Those were 2 hometown bands that performed, and they had really great crowds, and they were very happy. They had great weather. They do have food trucks there. And I was there for both of those concerts, and like all the people that I saw there, they were really happy with the series, and Park and Rec does plan on doing it again next fall. They're gonna do a fall series rather than a summer series. So they'll probably be between 3 and 5 concerts, whatever they can get. But it was really very nice and well attended, and the weather definitely helped on that also. So that's all I have for Park and Rec. Police Commission.
Well, the police commission we just met about an hour and a half ago, so Walter and I need time to digest, but two important things. There was a swearing-in ceremony today of a new police officer, Brian Canavy, and also the appointment of detective sitting next to me, Craig Miller.
Congratulations.
There was a lot of discussion about the finances, and I know that'll probably come up during your presentation in terms of the new police facility and some of the issues still that are going on in terms of the heating and cooling system, so I'll leave that to the town manager.
Okay, all right, thank you. Fire Commission?
All right, Fire Commission met on October 3rd, Company 3. Several recognitions for both Fire 1 students, Alden Page going to the Fire Academy and Ed Pernier, as well as there was discussion on drug alcohol policy from unfinished business and the department chaplain. There was some discussion on apparatus usage and older apparatus and what's going on with that. I think the committee is going to be coming back to us, commission is going to be coming back to us with some thoughts in that capacity. As well as Ron Nofrio has just put in his resignation, effective immediately on the Fire Commission, so there will be an opening in the Fire Commission. I want to take the opportunity to thank Ron for his service on that commission. I know he's got other things he's working on other boards and going to spend some time doing those things, but we want to make sure that we appreciate what he's done on that commission, and I know he'll be missed on that commission as well. So that's it.
Okay, thank you. Planning and Zoning?
Next meeting is this Thursday.
Okay. Finance Subcommittee, we did not meet last week for October. There were only 2 items on the agenda, and both of them have to come before the council, so they're on our agenda for tonight. So there was no meeting for finance. Public Safety Communications? No report? Okay. Inland Wetlands?
Inland Wetlands cancel their meeting in September.
Okay. Blueprint Committee?
Blueprint Committee, we continue to look at properties around the town. As you know, we've submitted a handful of them to the council to take a look at, that you brought up in your last meeting, I believe. I wasn't at the last meeting, but I'm pretty sure you had it. And like you had just talked about, Rose, we are looking at the usage of the ball fields, just trying to see what's possibly overused, underused, and what have you. And it is a little bit difficult to look at that because of just how you described it. It's pretty difficult, but I figure I'm just going to task the town manager. I'm sure he'll get the information.
He has a way of getting that information.
I know people.
Yeah.
And then I just want to make a comment about our town committees and even our councils and our boards. These are public meetings, and anyone's welcome to them. And I'm just saying this out to the public so that come join and look for the agendas online. Most everything's online, and if it's not, it's an error that it's not online. But because we also have the Town Center Committee, that's a subcommittee of the Blueprint Committee, and that committee was tasked with the idea of looking at that center, where the public works are in the Auger Field, and to see if there's some concept that they can come up with of a vision of what a center for North Branford could look like that would bring Northford and North Branford to one center. And we're looking for a concept. So there's a lot of rumors out there that things are being done secretive, and they're not. Every meeting is public, and that committee was tasked with the project to find some visions, some concepts that they could present back to the council. So, or to the Blueprint Committee, then to the council. So I just want to make sure that that's pretty clear. Thank you.
Okay. On to town manager's report, general updates.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. As you know, our town engineer, Victor Benny, moved on last month to a terrific post at the Regional Water Authority, and this evening I'm pleased to present to the council my appointment of Chris Holden as our new town engineer. Chris is the former Director of Public Works for the City of Middletown, holds a BS in Civil Engineering and an MS in Environmental Engineering, and was favorably reviewed by a panel consisting of myself and the Assistant Town Manager, Public Works Director, and Town Planner. We enthusiastically agree that he'll be an excellent addition to our team, and are proud to recommend him for your consideration later on tonight's agenda. And Chris is with us here tonight, so I thought I might just bring him up here and have him introduce himself to you.
Good evening. My name is Chris Cesar.
It's more for
Yeah,
the
it's more for the
TV.
TV,
If
actually.
it's not to
Okay.
amplify in here.
My name is Chris Holden. As you mentioned, I'm the former Public Works Director for the City of Middletown. I've got a wide variety of experience that kind of makes me perfect for this position. I've been Assistant Chief Engineer for Water and Sewer, so that helps me out with the sewer side of things. I was a civil engineer, doing site plans and what have you, so I'm very familiar with the planning and zoning and inland wetlands process. I feel like I'm a very good candidate for this position and looking forward to it.
Glad to have you here.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Chris. And also, as you know, James Buck has moved along to become Wallingford's fire chief, and I'm pleased to share with the council this evening my appointment of William Seward III to become the town of North Branford's new emergency management director. Former Chief Seward has a lengthy and distinguished career in emergency management and fire service, and he'll be before your confirmation later on tonight's agenda as well. The new town flag, which is approved by the council following the vote at the Potato and Corn Festival, can now be seen flying at all stations in town, including Town Hall, the Police Department, the Greens in Northford and North Branford, Auger Field, and Stanley T. Williams Center, as well as behind you on the dais tonight. As you'll recall, I hope to have 3x5 versions of the flag made up for town residents to purchase to fly at their homes to show community spirit and pride. And later on tonight's agenda, there's an item to create the fund to make this purchase and sale possible. In association with the Veterans Service Commission, the town held an observance for POW MIA Day on Friday, September 20th at the Green in North Branford by the Congregational Church. Mayor Angeloni and members of the Veterans Service Commission, as well as many local veterans and residents, and I attended the event honoring all POWs and MIAs, particularly Army Sergeant First Class James Edward Creamer, who went missing in action on April 21st, 1968 in Vietnam. As the mayor mentioned earlier, since our last meeting of the council, we've held a number of ribbon cutting ceremonies for several new businesses. Those include Poppy's Coffee and Kitchen, located at 5 Foxen Road, Suite 2. Swarm Fitness at 1289 Foxen Road at the Big Y Plaza. Possum Pets at 2374 Foxen Road next to Capone's. And as the mayor talked about, Aaliyah's gluten-free food manufacturing located at the old Brook and Whittle facility on Route 139. The town recently recognized 2 remarkable centenarian birthdays. Mayor Angeloni presented a citation to Evelyn Surprenant, a lifelong resident of North Branford who just turned 105 years old. The mayor was also on hand to congratulate her own mother-in-law, Millie Angeloni, on her 100th birthday. More details about both extraordinary individuals can be found on the town website and our Facebook page, and we continue to wish a happy birthday to these 2 remarkable women. East Shore District Health flu clinics from East Shore District Health are ongoing. Walk-in clinics are available at their 688 East Main Street location. Thursday, November 7th from 3 to 5, Wednesday, November 13th, Wednesday, November 20th, and Tuesday, November 26th, all from 3 o'clock to 5 p.m. More info on these clinics they're conducting are available on their website, esdhd.org. Our registrars and town clerks' offices have been hard at work preparing for this year's election cycle. Our registrars would be thrilled to receive assistance from any volunteers willing. Volunteers are needed for registering voters in the state of Connecticut. Assistance is sought for early voting, which starts on October 21st through Sunday, November 3rd at Town Hall, as well as Election Day, which is November 5th. Those interested in volunteering can reach our registrars at registrars@northbrantfordct.gov. Polls are open on Election Day, the 5th, from 6 a.m. till 8 o'clock p.m. District 1 votes at Jerome Harrison Gym. District 2 votes at Stanley T. Williams Gym. And District 3 votes in the Stanley T. Williams Board of Education room. The library's Bow Ties and Books program is continuing at Atwater Library, 10:30 in the morning, with the final 2 installments taking place on October 24th and October 31st. This event is for children ages 6 months to 4 years old. Park and Rec, as the mayor mentioned earlier, Parks and Recreation team just concluded their successful 3-concert run of Autumn Nights at Augur, with their final concert held on October 10th with the band Outlier. And again, we're looking forward to having them do that run of series concerts next year. Trunk or Treat, rain or shine, Saturday, October 19th, 2 o'clock to 3:30 p.m. at the Stanley T. Williams Community Center. Trick-or-treaters can go trunk or treat, collecting goodies from decorated cars. Individuals, clubs, and organizations that wish to have a car to pass out treats can register at nbrecreation.com. And in conjunction with Beyond the Horizon, our Park and Recreation Department will once again be holding a sensory-friendly pumpkin patch party on Saturday, October 26th from 10:30 a.m. to 12 o'clock p.m. at Stanley T. Williams Community Center. This is a free event for ages 12 and under. Children can pick out a pumpkin from the accessible pumpkin patch and decorate it with friends. Registration is required by October 18th at nbrecreation.com. Scrap metal pickup will be taking place the week of October 21st on your scheduled pickup days. Items will be placed curbside up to 1 week before the scheduled day of pickup. This includes air conditioners, dehumidifiers, microwaves, large appliances, refrigerators with the doors removed, metal lawn furniture, hot water tanks, tools, metal fencing, filing cabinets, furnaces, garbage pails, non-riding lawnmowers with gas removed, outdoor grills, small machines, and aluminum siding. And what has become nearly a holiday in town in North Branford, bulk pickup is taking place the week of November 4th on the day of your regularly scheduled pickup. Items can be placed curbside up to a week in advance. This includes tree limbs, tree branches, scrap wood, rugs, which all need to be less than 4 feet long, no thicker than 4 inches, and need to be bundled and tied. Couches, mattresses, box springs, picnic tables, and wooden furniture. No scrap vehicle parts, no home cleanouts. Halloween will be here shortly, and we wish everyone a happy and safe trick-or-treating. And Veterans Day, in observance of Veterans Day, all town offices will be closed on Monday, November 11th. This is not a trash holiday, so all routes will be collected on their normal collection day. And there are a few events in the school system recognizing veterans for Veterans Day that I did want to note, including the Veterans Day breakfast and assembly at Jerome Harrison Elementary School on November 11th, 8:30 to 11. Assemblies at Totucket Valley Elementary School at 1:30 p.m. North Branford Intermediate School on November 7th, 8:30 to 11:30 a.m., which includes a breakfast and chorus and band performances. And at the North Branford High School, Friday, November 8th from 8 to 10:30 a.m., including a breakfast, Veterans Day display tables, and a musical performance. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Now on to Permanent Project Building Committee updates.
Sure. So with the North Branford Police Department, the building is complete. Punch list is currently at 99.5%. The HVAC humidity remains an ongoing concern, and the PPBC is in process of hiring a third-party consultant to review HVAC, and that's expected to be done this coming Monday. As Councilor Diamond alluded to, I'm sure there was discussion at the Police Commission today. We did have an event there today. Apparently the upstairs EOC training room went down to 45 degrees at one point. There's 4 zones in the department. I went there myself this morning to check it out too, and it looks like that one zone, for whatever reason, all the rest of it was heating properly, but that one zone wasn't working. So we did reach out to SBA, who does have an appointment with NCON. They were supposed to head out there either today or tomorrow. I did not get it reported to me that they were there today, so it's probably going to end up being tomorrow. But they think that there's some manual change that needs to be made in it, so that's ongoing, but we're on top of it. That's with the police department. North Branford High School, Phase 2. The temporary certificate of occupancy was issued on the 27th of September, and the first day of school using the new wing was September 30th. Note that this does not include the gymnasium. The gymnasium flooring moisture content is actively being monitored, and the construction team is awaiting the final moisture content results from tomorrow's round of tests, which is taking place on the 16th, to confirm if the flooring can be installed at a slightly elevated moisture content from what the manufacturer typically requires. We're awaiting this confirmation in writing from the manufacturer, which will be received by the end of business today, which I did not get confirmed whether we actually received it before coming here or not. Pending the testing results, floor installation will be expected to commence this Thursday, targeting at a gym TCO date of 11/15/24, but this date will be dependent on the state of the floor installation. Excuse me. QA&M has completed our punch list, and the construction team is actively working on closing out any of those open items identified. At the last council meeting, we discussed the issue of how some glass that had been installed was not to spec, and the PPBC subsequently voted to accept the glass on the condition that we would get a 17-year warranty on the glass that's there. And again, as I mentioned last time, it wasn't judged that it was inferior anyway. It was just not the specification. It's expected that this material will hold up just as well as the ordered material. But in consideration of the unauthorized change that we got, we're getting a 17-year warranty and plus a $35,000 credit to the project. North Branford Intermediate School, the metal standing seam roofing, fascias, gutters, and downspouts continue to be installed on the gabled roofs of the school. Currently, the construction team is targeting a completion of the base contract scope of work by the end of October, beginning of November, weather depending. And it should be noted the building is fully weather tight now. Exterior metal wall siding added scope. The committee authorized the contractor to address or replace the weather barrier and metal wall systems located above roof areas where many of the historic leaks within the building have been present. This work is expected to occur during the spring of 2025 after the heating season is behind us to correct this work. Stanley T. Williams Community Center Pavilion, the site work has begun on this location. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to thank the town manager for providing us with the tour of the new section of the high school.
Oh yeah, right, I forgot to mention that, yeah.
Yes, it was very impressive going through that section that just came on board. The biggest part is the gymnasium, which they allowed us to walk in. The floor is just set in place, it's not installed. But when all is said and done, we are very grateful for all of the work that the Permanent Project has done on this, and we should be very proud of that facility that we have. It is quite impressive on there. So, thank you. Now on to citizen statements, petitions, and correspondence. We received one comment to be read at the meeting tonight. This is from Bill Savastano. They're kind of bullet points, so they're not full sentences, so I'm just gonna read what he put here. I'm not gonna clarify anything that he has here. Regarding the $4,500 approval for recycle bins to be placed at Public Works, the discussion was more predetermined. The unsightly mess was an anomaly. Your recycle committee is hard at work. Regarding compensation for extra time, with some reservation, I feel the compensation for the extra duty work can be opening another door. I note that most of our town departments have assistants. It might be more cost efficient to compensate adjusting time with the assistant. I feel the council has spent a lot of money in the last couple of years, whether it be ARPA money or not. Please control your spending. Just because you think it's a good idea, that's not everyone's opinion. I like Bill Seward as EOM director. He brings a wealth of knowledge. I have said recently that the EOM director needs to be more forthcoming with what that department does. I'm sure Bill will, but will he be able to do this as a part-timer? Spending money here is essential. I don't know how prepared we are as a town if we have an emergency. Please let us know. I applaud the fire department for the idea to send the 2 trucks to those who need them. Can we do more? Regarding the agenda and agenda packet, with some exceptions, when there is a Monday holiday, the agenda doesn't get posted till Tuesday morning. That's not 24 hours, should be able to get it by Friday before. Thank you, Bill Savastano.
Done.
And one other citizen statement that was received via email. I'm not sure it was really a citizen statement, but Caroline Papa had reached out inquiring about the Agriculture Commission, which was put into place via ordinance, I believe, back in 2007. And so, let me see here. Yes, it was adopted on May 15th, 2007. And I would like to have this put on the agenda for next month. But in the meantime, if the town attorney can check into two things on this. When this originally was set up, it's a 5-member commission, and one of the members is a town council member. I'm not I was not on the council at that time, and I'm the longest one on the council right now, so no one else here was on the council at the time this was adopted. I'm not comfortable myself with having a council member, a member of that commission, especially if they're voting on things that will come to the council. And the other thing that's part of this, it says members and alternates shall be appointed without regard to political affiliation. And I'm not sure if we can do that, if that should have been part of this original ordinance, because I thought, that's what I thought. So we just need to look at this, and if we have to revise before we never dissolved this commission. The problem why they haven't met is there's only 2 members on it right now, and so they don't have a quorum. So they haven't met for years. It's not at our, it's not through our fault. We didn't dissolve the commission. So I'm willing to look at this, but we just need to put it on our agenda and discuss this. And if we have to alter the ordinance, then we'll go through the steps of what it takes to do that and move forward with it.
Madam Mayor, may I make a motion to amend the agenda under resignations and appointments? I would like to amend the agenda to appoint Ed Prunier to replace Ron Canofrio's position on the Fire Commission.
I'll second that.
I know it's not a long position, but I've been asked to do that.
Okay. I mean, we can take a vote on it. I personally don't see the need to rush in, because we don't even have the resignation
I know.
from Ron Onofrio yet to appoint someone for that position.
It comes in from Lisa, it has to come in from Lisa first and be effective, right? Before we can do that? But I have no problem with that.
It did come in today. It was in
It
the,
just came in late. I was
it came
waiting
in
until
just today.
November, but then I talked
I know
to
it was-
Mike because it
okay.
came in today, if I could add it.
We can take a vote on amending the agenda. We'll just need, in order to amend the agenda, we need 6 yes votes.
Madam Mayor, are you still on public comments, so you can jump ahead?
We still are, yes. Marie brought this up under public comments
Oh, okay.
on there. So the motion has been made to amend the agenda and seconded by...
Right, so we're in discussion, right?
We're in discussion as to whether we want to add it to if we
Right.
want to amend the agenda.
Right, so I just have a suggestion. I mean, why don't we table it until next meeting? And I mean, this is the first many of us are hearing of this with no thought or nothing behind it for ourselves. I don't know if there's a need for the rush. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
I feel the same way.
Well, so we need 6 votes in order to put it on the
Okay.
agenda. So If we don't have the 6 votes, we don't
Okay.
amend the
All
agenda.
right.
You can't table it until you put it on the agenda.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
all right.
So we're voting when they put it on the agenda.
So, here's a question.
Okay.
Then, I mean, I second to vote for it. When is the next meeting of the fire commission?
My understanding is it's the
November
first Thursday in the month.
Yeah, November 6th, I think I can look up.
So it won't happen until the first week of November?
Would happen the next meeting here
Right.
with us.
Oh,
Yeah.
with us?
Yeah,
Yeah.
No, when the fire commission
The
meets.
fire commission is the first, my understanding is the first Thursday of the month.
correct.
Yes, it is.
Mhm.
So that would be
So, I guess this would be a discussion.
the 7th, like I said.
Part of this. So if we didn't vote for Ron this evening to put him on the commission,
It's
it's
not
the
Ron.
first, I'm sorry, Ed,
Mhm.
Ron.
Formally
What if, would it hurt the commission if he wasn't there?
No,
If
they still
anybody was
have,
there?
they still have 4 members.
So
I'm just asking.
Point of clarification from our legal counsel, but don't we have to accept the
No.
resignation first? No?
No,
Okay, I just want to make sure we're doing it right. I have no problem with
No,
this.
I didn't think we accepted resignation.
we don't.
Okay.
Marie, is your
No.
motion just for him to serve out the rest of Ron's term?
Right.
It's a,
So if we don't do it, this is the only thing I see, is if we don't do it tonight, there's nobody to serve out the rest of Ron's term, because Ron's term is up December 1st. So it's just, you're basically approving him for one meeting, and then he would need to be approved again after that.
Right, so what would him missing one meeting be?
I don't know, I'm just presenting that to you guys, it is what it is.
But he's not needed for that one meeting, right? I mean,
Well, it depends on what they're discussing.
will they have enough people, right?
they do. There's still 4.
If they have 4 people, if they have to vote on stuff, it could end in a tie, you won't have, you know what I mean, so, and it's not like he hasn't been there before, he's familiar with it.
Marie, what would it hurt if he wasn't, if we didn't put him on, and and they missed the meeting? What would the ramifications be?
Nobody knows, I don't think.
Yeah. I mean,
Understand.
they can just come back to appoint someone in November when they come back with an appointment. He would just fill the term. He would start with December 1st, so he has the full term. He doesn't have
Right,
1
and
month.
I understand that, but that's the whole, I get it, but that's what I'm trying to say, is he's only gonna miss one meeting. What would the ramifications of him missing one meeting be? Is it
It's hard
like
for us to
really
say.
important, and then if it wasn't important, then we put him in?
Well, I've been asked to bring that up, and I checked today, and I was told that I could bring forward. an appointment.
Anthony, can you shed any light on the situation?
No, I mean, it's, as was mentioned, there's 4 other members on the commission. 3 is a quorum, so it's likely they'll have 3, ideally 4 without the vacant spot.
Are there any big votes coming up next month?
No, and I believe, if I've been talking to Ron, his resignation was gonna be till November or December. He wasn't gonna go immediately, but he mentioned that night.
Correct.
Yeah,
That's
so
the-
I understood.
So really.
No, I think he did it immediately.
He did it immediately.
Because the meeting's tonight.
Okay.
It said effective immediately.
Yeah.
So there's nothing on the agenda that's of importance? that has
No,
been voted
I'm assuming
on
the
that
3
is-
other, they'll have a quorum to do their business.
So the motion on the floor is to amend the agenda. So I'm going to ask for a vote on that.
Mayor Angeloni,
No.
Deputy Mayor McMillan,
Yes.
Counselor Abelson,
Yes.
Counselor Diamond,
Yes,
Counselor Goad,
No.
Counselor Miller,
Yes.
Counselor Palladino,
No.
Counselor Palicia,
Yes.
Counselor Zampano.
No.
Motion does not pass. It's a 5-4.
what a surprise. The
I just
motion
don't
didn't
know what
pass.
the difference is anyway.
Okay.
Okay, so we're still on citizen statements.
He's gonna get on regardless.
I'm going back to 9BI, the finances.
Can I ask a
Oh.
question before we move anywhere further?
After.
I have a question about this agricultural commission. Are we past that, or can I ask a question? Because she brought up, like, I wanted to ask a question about the agricultural, and then Marie brought up this thing, and then we got into that, so.
Okay, can we let Mr.
Yes.
Potter speak first and then we'll go back?
I don't know how many of you know, but I was the original chairman of the first Agriculture Commission. And the purpose was to have Mike Duty and Al Rose, either one of those, heavily involved with the commission. It sort of leads to a situation coming up. The people that are making decisions have no agriculture background. There's a meeting coming up this Thursday that might involve such a situation. The purpose of the commission was to represent the farmers and to keep it because I was a phone guy, I had the time. The people that should be on the commission can't be on the commission because they're working sun up to sundown. Willie, the Pages, Al Rose, the DeFrancisco's. Mr. DeFrancisco was on it because his sons can do the farm when he's not there. But its purpose was to, just for something that's coming up this Thursday, to help the farmers, their particular jobs and what they do and what they need, not to be hindered by uninformed people making decisions for them ahead of time. I'll leave it at that. I'm trying to be polite. If you're not qualified to understand what they do, how can you make rash decisions and come up with amendments to zoning and stuff that may hurt them? So again, if you want to revive it, I apologize, I stepped down because my wife put up with my military crap, the phone company crap, and the Ag Commission crap. And it was time for me to, I've been married to her for 54 years. Maybe I could give her 10 minutes of my time once in a while. So it was a hard decision. We had gotten a lot done, but there is no more farmland available. The farmers that are operating it, or even, I'll give you an example, DeFrancisco's, to be more productive, you need more land. Your expenses haven't gone down. DeFrancisco's rent land at All Saints Cemetery. Larry Auger, I think, rents land down in East Haven. You have to have more land to have more profit, but it requires more hours in the field to make that profit. So again, what you need is some kind of liaison group, maybe the farmers themselves. The Agricultural Commission itself is a good idea, but it's a lot of paperwork and stuff. You need an ad hoc to get up to the Agriculture Commission level, because you have nobody here that would be qualified like Al and
I
Mike.
grew up on a farm.
Okay.
So I'm more than qualified to sit there and be on that.
Okay.
I'm on the council, so I really don't.
Well, all right, but I mean, yes, something has to be done.
Wanted to know what it was about.
It was not, I didn't enjoy stepping down because I knew it wouldn't go anywhere after that, and unfortunately, that's what happened. But the very people you represent are the very people you have to hear from. Somehow you have to assemble them, not monthly, they don't have the time, maybe, I don't know, quarterly, but somehow you've got to get them. When something's happening big in town, you need their input, and they're qualified to give it to you, but they're not time available lots of times. That's what we found. So we would, luckily, the network we had on the commission, unfortunately, we've lost Nelson Ciccarelli. Now we've lost Mike, even though he's not in town. Dudley Harrison's passed on. But they were networking for us with other farmers. They would come to the meetings with information because they would talk to other farmers during the month. We would compose things. We'd even have an open forum here in November every year, asking the farmers, what do you want from us? What good are we as a commission if we don't represent you? And the Diglio family would show up and they would give input. If you want to get back to that level, it's going to be hard, but maybe you've got to do it. We are a farming town. I know nobody likes to hear that. Our farmers are working hard, but they need to be protected at the same time. And unfortunately, I see too many commissions and stuff in the wetlands, planning and zoning. They make decisions. Their intentions are good, but the results are bad. And look what these farmers are up against constantly. They don't get a break. I mean, they pay what you pay for a lot of the stuff and the services they need. So they've been forced to expand the amount of crops and produce they have to. I mean, Joe D's linked in with what do you call it? The famous supermarket out in Long Island. Stu Leonard's. Joe gets up at 4 o'clock in the morning and delivers produce and flowers to the Stu Leonard stores. I mean, but he has to because he needs to put money in his pocket. So again, it's a great idea. I just couldn't do it anymore. I mean, I've given a lot. It was fun. My wife was still working when it happened, but when she retired, we just, I had to give something up. I'm still heavily involved with the military, still here hassling you guys monthly. So I had to give up the chairmanship. It wasn't an easy decision, but I had to do the right decision. So we made progress. And Carol Zebb was a very, very good asset. We got the barn roof and some of the building taken care of. It took 2 tries. Carol didn't give up on the first, when we got shot down by the state on the first grant. We came back with more evidence. We got to save the barn. The old saying is, if you save the roof, you save the barn. Well, the barn still needs some more work. We need paint now. But again, she was she gave a lot of time. Ryan Van Wilgen, he was on the commission. Very smart man. But again, he's moved to Guilford, so he's not an asset anymore. So, yeah, I mean, you have to revive the Ag Commission, but you have to get the right people on it, and it's going to take time out of their day. I mean, the town planner, Carol was a town planner. She was the actual official that hung in with us. So, I mean, you have to ask the town planner if hey, look, he's got his hands full too. So you have to have an advisor like that requires the daily stuff to happen. And it's not a lot of time, but it's a lot of effort. And it's a lot of dead-end roads some days. But yet you've got to keep these farmers protected and keep them viable. Like Willie says, if he has to go out of business, where are you going to get your food? So now more than ever, we're seeing nationwide it's a problem. And so townwide it's kind of a problem. And I apologize for resigning, but I had to make a hard decision. It wasn't an easy one because I came before this commission for many times trying to get it going. And we got shot down a lot. I brought the Guilford members in. What are the Weathermans is on the Guilford Commission. And I think Keith Bishop would be willing to give information to the commission. He was always a good asset for us to go to. So there's resources in other towns that you could go there and start all over again, see what they're doing. I don't know, all our notes disappeared for the town files. Do you ever know what happened to the Ag Commission files and stuff? I can't find them anymore on the website.
I mean, anything that they did, any public business they transacted, we would have a record of. So
but I mean, even like our meeting notes and stuff, they're all gone, I think. I don't know what happened to our records. But again, if you had to draw from that, you could go start all over again. But in the meantime, just get an ad hoc going and make your next step an Ag Commission. But, it took a while, but we got productive. But the other council, we also tried to get some tax abatements. Guilford and other towns have. Well, so what if your Cadillac's on one side of the garage and your John Deere's on the other? Try to give him a little help. Don't charge him for a full use of the garage because he's keeping his tractor dry. There was things we tried to get that we got shut down on. But the things we did fight for, it was a lot of work and it wasn't easy, but we were a good group. And then we suffered some serious deaths and a lot of the history is gone. So I suggest you do something.
Well, thank you for the information. 'Cause that
Okay.
was my question as far as what is the Agricultural Commission, what they did. But thank you.
It's in, I think it's right in isn't it in the,
Well, there's a little, it doesn't say a lot in the formation of this.
okay, because I mean, our mission statement, we had a mission statement. Carol came up, we actually have a letterhead. We still have it. I still use it when I thank the town for doing our, supporting our tractor pulls. I still use the letterhead.
Okay,
So,
we'll check and see once. It's probably in archive that you don't see it
Yeah.
readily on the website.
Right,
but
so-
we wouldn't have gotten rid of any
No,
of the
we
minutes or
would
anything.
retain all that. It's probably because the last meeting was probably some time ago.
oh, was, I don't remember. I mean,
You wouldn't see it in the current
Right.
listing online.
well, it's been probably 20 years since I've been the chairman. And Willie tried, again, this is what I'm talking about. Willie tried to pick up the chairmanship. Didn't have the time. It's hard. I was a phone guy, I had the time. So
Okay.
go with it. Good luck.
All right, thank you, Cliff. Okay, we are gonna go back, I apologize, we missed item 9B1, I update on finances for police department and NBIS.
So the hot topic around town is how much interest we're paying at the police station. And I think it's more important to give you the history of how we got there. And give you a walk through what happens when you guys pass these multi-million-dollar projects here. So you'll see back in October of 2020, as soon as the police department appeared to be going down the path of coming to be, I reached out to Bill Silver from Silver Petrocelli and said, I need cash flow. Because as we're going to go into the market to do short-term borrowing and bonds and everything else, I need to know what the cash flow requirements are so that I make sure when the bills come in, there's money to pay the bills. It's pretty straightforward. So you'll see the first long document, the horizontal document, shows roughly a 14-month schedule. At that time, the numbers obviously changed later on in life. But just realize that the bills for Silver Petrocelli actually started in 2021, and there were bills that happened prior to the official adoption of that project. A lot of the preliminary work, the site studies, the multiple sites, everything else, all became part of this project. January of 21, now that the project has increased. At that time, it was the carport and the standalone building. Can you revise the cash flow? Again, looking for cash flow. Item 5. Item 6. I need some cash flow. May 10, 21. I need cash flow. Now you have the other long document that shows, okay, it's going to start in 20, October of 20, and conclude by April of 22. The other long legal-sized document. Roughly an 18-month time frame. So we borrow money based on cash flow predictions from our experts. We pay these people to give us information to make sound financial decisions, and we rely on their information to do these decisions. As we all know, the construction did not stop in April of 22. It probably stopped in July of 2024. So what happens is, the next couple pages are the financing. You notice the 2021 issuance, we went out. At that time, the authorization was 12.25 for the police station. I'm sorry. We did $2.5 million of bonds and did a little over $6 million of notes. That was in 2021. Turn to page 2022. Those $6 million of notes matured. What did we do? We bonded $3.3 million and rolled notes for another $1 million. Turn to page 2023. That $1 million matured. What did we do? We did bonds for that $1 million, and we rolled notes for $3.9 million, almost $4 million of notes. Again, we need money to pay the bills for these projects. Last page, 2024. What happened? That 3.95 notes came due. We weren't anywhere near completing the project, so we rolled the notes again. Every time you roll these notes, guess what? There's interest. You're borrowing money. Now again, the initial, before that, I sent you last week, schedule that was requested.
I don't think I forwarded that to the council.
So the initial, if you remember back in that 2020 time frame, our financial advisor, Mark Chapman, had done a preliminary pro forma statement. At that time, I believe the interest rate he was using was 1.5, 1.75. I think I can forward this out to you guys. Yeah, 1.5 for the 20 bond note issue, and 2021 is going to be 1.75. Well, as you know, what's happened to interest rates in the last 3 years? They've gone up. So compounded with the time we have the money, and the interest rates have gone up, it's math. We have the money, it costs us money to have the money in our pocket. So it's a combination of market timing with the interest rates going against us. It's an issue with the cash flow projections were nowhere near accurate, come to find out. The project's been prolonged for various reasons. I mean, it's not all the fault of the person, the author of the cash flow projection. That's how we get to where we are. This is for every project we ever do. We get a cash flow, whether it's the school, whether it's the police station, whatever it is, and we fund based on the cash flow projection from the people that we pay, give us information. Right, wrong, or indifferent, that's how we do it. So we use this information, we borrowed money going back to 21 because the bills were coming in 21. It just got longer than originally thought. And when you're borrowing money longer, it's going to cost you more interest. And then the rates went against us. Again, the initial projection was like 1.5, 1.75. The last time I think we paid 3.75. So that went against us. So it's not that it was, Anthony's pulling numbers, out of thin air. We rely on the experts to give us information to make our decisions based on. And that's what we base it on. And
We're paying interest on the full bond.
well, the bonds, no, the notes. The bonds fall into the general fund, next year's debt service and so on. So it's the notes, the short-term one-year notes, that the project eats the interest cost on. The bonds, once we bond it, it becomes part of the debt service. You guys work on your budget time. That's where when it becomes a bond, it goes to the 20-year debt service, general fund, everything else. It's that short-term notes that we keep having to have money to pay the bills as they go. That's what churns the interest dollars.
So Anthony, the bottom line is, how much more is it gonna cost us?
Well, we're not done yet because these notes are going to mature next year.
But where are we at now, about from what we initially planned on?
Oh, let's see. I can give you a rough idea. I would say, the original estimate is obviously nowhere near. Hang on, I have it somewhere.
But we're doing 4 million at 3.75.
Yeah. Yeah. So what happens is the way the interest, so as you'll notice in that 2023 one, or 2024 one, where's the last one we did? Right. But
Now we're doing 4 million.
But look, on that last column, right, there's 4.755 is the high school, 3.950 is the police station. So of that $8.7 million total, when that matures next year, there'll be interest from then until next year, prorated based on these two items. So there's more money, there's more, let me get a number for you, Walt. I don't want to talk, I'll get a number for you, where we are.
Thank you.
But that's where the number comes from. It's a matter of the projections that we used initially. I don't want to say were flawed, but they were not accurate. And no fault of one particular person. The project, we all know the history of the project. It was kind of all over the place, different additions, everything else. And
Well, it didn't start when,
it didn't start, well, the build started, believe it or not, in 2020.
right, but I mean,
So
the actual
the
project, the 18 months.
Shovel in the ground, right.
Yeah, did not start, they were estimating, that it would be done in 22, but
Right.
we
It did.
had all the other issues.
Wasn't
FEMA.
our last projection, when we were beginning this, our final projection was like 14 and a half, something like that, million?
16.2
Okay.
is our appropriation at 16.2.
Okay.
Less what we got for grants, less the 4.5 million, less the $1 million rows.
Okay,
What we're gonna bond, and all said and done, is the net number.
right.
But we won't know that until all the costs are in. Until all the costs are done, everything else is in, then we'll have a final number, we bond that, and that goes up to 20 years in general fund. You can't exceed 16.2, that's your appropriation, that's your budget. So other sources you're using against that, again, the 4.5 million, the $1 million, whatever the net is, that's where we're gonna end up bonding, and that'll become the obligation of the general fund, not this project per se.
Has any money on this project been bonded yet,
Yes.
or is it all short-term?
No, if you go back, some of it's been, let's see, going back to 2021, 2.9 was, 2.5, I'm sorry, was bonded. In 2022, 3.3 was bonded.
Okay.
2023, $1 million was bonded. 2024, nothing was bonded.
Okay.
So, right. So, and that number is kind of calculate the number as well, because if you remember, the interest rate environment was very low. And thought was, why don't you bond it all? Well, if you bonded it all, your general fund, come budget time, would be doing this with your debt service. So it's that balancing act where you don't want to incur more short-term interest, but you kind of have to, because you're going to skew your debt service down the road, and your tax rate's going to be like this. So the goal of bonding is trying to keep your debt service as level as possible, so you don't have the big spikes up one year, down the next year. You want to keep it as level. So we try to fit these numbers in so that your bonding level kind of stays somewhat constant throughout the time horizon.
So when will we know what it's gonna truly cost us? The project?
I don't have an answer. I don't know. I'm not 100% on top of when the final bills are.
Okay.
And there's still the issue now with the as Mike mentioned, the HVAC issues.
Yeah.
That's going to be a credit. I mean, we're going to go after people for that money. We're paying, additional utility bills. So it's not a net number yet.
Right.
We have an interest payment coming. Yeah, it's going to hit it too. Yeah. It's money. And, so everybody, the numbers, like the interest numbers, like, oh, what are we doing? You want money.
There's a cost.
There's a cost involved with it. And it's longer, you had it longer than theoretically you were supposed to have from the get-go, and the interest rate went against us. All those factors come together, and you say, yeah, you're getting socked with interest.
So something tells me the taxpayer's gonna be paying a lot more money.
Well, because the project cost is going to go up. Again, can't exceed 16.2 though. So that's like your ceiling is 16.2, minus any other funding sources we get. So it will impact the project cost as far as what they can spend. Not so much because the taxpayers are paying more on the 20-year bond. What we're going to bond at the end of the day. That's what affects the mill rate going forward. So if we can kind of tamper that and say, okay, by incurring more interest costs, the project may not spend as much as they wanted to spend on paint, let's say, whatever. They got to take some money out of the paint budget to pay the interest budget, because you can't go above 16.2. So when all is said and done, your net number is going to be that, whatever the number is, 12, 11, whatever the number ends up being, that's what you're going to bond. So it really isn't going to impact the taxpayers per se, it's going to impact more the project management and what you can spend and can't spend on the project, because you have to live with that 16.2 cap.
Right.
What's been spent so far?
The last number that I saw was 15.7. That's expended and encumbered. That goes back a month or two. I can check to see if there's a new number. Hang on. I think I saw another email. Yeah, I don't have a new number. I'll get the number for you for that tomorrow too. Total spent to date.
So what's the chance that we're gonna be asked for more money on this project?
They told us from the beginning they were not coming back for another penny.
That would you're 100% right. That's what they said.
Because $6 million, these are rough numbers, but $6 million was in grants basically, and we were looking at a $10 million price tag initially. That's what we were all,
right.
Pretty much
the net we were going to bond.
hanging our hats on. And now you just said a couple minutes ago 11, 12. So
well, so the 16.2 again. You want to go round numbers, yeah. Whatever the 16.2 minus the 4.5 minus the 1. Yeah, so you're right, 5.5. So 10 change when all is said and done. But that's not going to be impacted. I think Walter's concern is what's the long term, and you're not going to bond more than that net number. What may impact that is the interest rate environment. Again, we got clobbered. I wouldn't say clobbered. The rate went against us for the last couple of years. What's going to be next August when we bond this money permanently? So you got a crystal ball. You know what the interest rates are going to be. If it's going to go up or down, will definitely impact the 20-year bonding, right? If we're at 3.75 again next year, okay. What if it goes to 4? What if it goes to 4.25? What if it goes to 3? I mean, who knows? So that will impact the 20-year.
Our interest is going up on
It's
this.
the short term.
Isn't it accumulating more that we have to, that we're incurring? Like we were.
The project is incurring more interest.
Right.
Which again, if you're managing the project and you're saying, okay, I got 16.2 to spend total. And I was supposed to spend, pick a number, $100,000 on interest. But now I'm gonna spend $300,000 on interest. Oh wow, I got $200,000 to make up. So maybe I'm gonna put less paintings on the wall for $200,000. So I'm gonna manage the 16.2. What makes up that 16.2 number is gonna be different now because I have to eat the interest cost.
So we might get to the point where we reach the 16 mil and the police stations say it's not done or whatever we have. It's gonna be, sorry guys, we're done. That's 16 million, not.
16 point.
So
So
that's it.
what would have to happen at that point is we have to come back and have the bond resolutions amended. Say they want to go 16.5, pick a number. They can't go a penny above 16.2 unless you guys change the bond resolution.
So it isn't that it can't go above
It's not-
16
well,
million.
anything's
That's what they're
possible.
saying now, but they're just gonna keep coming back and then occur.
Right.
And so it is gonna basically.
But more than half of it right now is bonded.
Bond.
Of the net that we've discussed, about, call it half.
Yeah, so, yeah, 6
It-
out of the 10,
it's
whatever, it's
bonded.
been bonded already. So you got another 4 million to bond. That 3.9 that's out there, when that matures next year, we'll probably bond that. And that brings you back up to your 10 change of net cost to bond. Assuming that lives within the 16.2 cap. So your net, when all is said and done, is gonna be that 10 and a half, whatever the number ends up being for the net cost to bond for 20 years. And if you've already bonded 6 of it, so the 4 that's left that we rolled this year, when that matures next year, we'll bond that for the 20 years. Again, it's about fitting that into the debt cycle as well, because you can defer the principal for the first 2 years. Again, to try to avoid the blips, you want to have kind of an equal debt service across the board. So some of it's math, some of it is just trying to time the market and say, how does it fit into our debt service so that it's kind of as smooth as possible without the big deviations.
Right.
So,
But the interest cost is not part of our project cost.
it is.
But on the short term.
On the short-term interest
That-
cost, it's
that-
part of your
that's kinda-
16.2.
Okay,
That's
that's.
what I'm saying. So the guy who's managing that project says,
Okay.
I'm gonna have $200,000 more interest cost. Oh, wait a minute, I can't do something else. I can't put paintings on the wall. So I gotta come back to my 16.2 cap, unless he comes back to you guys and says, I need more than 16.2.
Okay.
Which they're not.
Which they said from the beginning they weren't, but,
That in the high school, they said they would not come back for 1 penny more.
That's good.
I
So,
don't think they're gonna come back for any more. I really think that they're working with, I think what they're having a problem with is
The interest.
Yeah.
is that that's gonna eat into whatever's left. And they do have money left over. There is more money that they have. I think their concern is that the interest is gonna chew up a lot of what's left. And that there's nothing there's no savings.
Right, and it's important though to have this discussion here because we're getting a better understanding on how the financials are working because
right,
that's the important part.
right.
They are working extremely hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I was there Monday, and they beat these people up. I mean, literally, they really do, as far as, where the payments are, what we're gonna pay for. We're not paying for this because it's this or that. I mean, we got a $35,000 credit, and it worked in our favor. And because they steadfast on what they were gonna do for the high school. So they really did do the job they're really working hard. The thing is I think they're really concerned that there's not gonna be anything left. They're not gonna come for any more money.
Yeah, at one point there was some thought of some additional dollars left
Right,
over to
there's
use
not
for other
gonna be
projects.
much
It was
left.
unfortunately going to be evaporated.
Well, I think with the air conditioning units,
Depending on how that goes.
right, depending how that goes,
Yeah.
that's probably what's gonna be.
So on the police department, what's out there now on short term? We're roughly $4 million.
Correct.
On there. So the interest rate on that was determined in August when you,
That was, yes.
so have you calculated on that $4 million what,
I have not, but I certainly, there should be.
well, I mean, just to let the commission know, the permanent project is, you are going to have an additional X number of dollars in interest, so they don't plan on
Right.
spending that money in their budget, that they have to reallocate.
Right.
Which is, I think, which is part of the problem. They think they have it all, and so they are planning all of this stuff, but interest rate, there's still short-term money out there that we have to pay interest on,
Right.
because it's not all,
That's big money.
right. And so they just need to be apprised of that, of the potential. It's an estimate, it's not the exact dollar amount. And then that's assuming that we bond the remainder of the project next August. If we don't, there's still additional interest cost.
Right, right. I mean, if we roll them again, yeah, that'd be bad to roll them again. I mean, the only saving grace could be potentially, let's say, for example, it comes in at 15.8. So of that 3.9, maybe you only end up bonding 3.4. So if you shave, off the total project, theoretically, I mean, it's possible. You could shave off the total project and then bond less come next August.
Right. But if you could give them an idea, an estimate of what the interest is from now to
Till
next
next
August,
Okay.
of what, just so that they are aware,
Gotcha.
both on that project and NBIS.
Okay.
Because there was, I mean, the high school, I think, is just too far out there yet to worry about that. But I know NBIS, there was question in regards to, and that number, which was $10 million, is what we authorized to bond on NBIS, not knowing what that project was going to cost.
That was a wild card.
That was a wild card.
That's
And we
all been bonded.
And we upped the number
Right.
from what the original estimates were. We upped the number to 10 million.
Right.
But they found some other issues. I know, and a couple weeks ago, they asked if there was enough money because they were afraid they had to come back and ask us, which on that was a wild card.
Oh, yeah.
But they were told that there was enough money in the account that they didn't have to ask for more. But now they're not sure on that because of the whole interest charge and everything else.
The only thing, the saving grace of MBIS is that the whole 10 was bonded. So the clock has stopped on that one. On 24, we bonded that 10. So there's no short-term money on MBIS. So
Okay.
that clock has stopped.
Okay.
So whatever that is.
Okay, so I think that's part of the issue. And did our bond rating change at all during this time? What are we, a double A?
AA2.
Double A2? So we're still the same on bond rating and everything?
Yep.
Okay, that's great. That's good news.
Yep.
Okay. So NBIS is all bonded, the 10 million,
Correct.
so they have no additional interest charges?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay.
The only, going back to the high school for a quick second, is the issue you run in with the school projects is you won't have a net number
Because of,
until the state education department
Correct.
does their audit, which that may cost us another year,
correct,
Yeah.
yes.
which is really a sad situation, but again, we'll have a better handle on it when it comes to next August. I shouldn't say I'm sure, based on our past experience, they don't wrap things too quickly in the state level. So there might be, we won't have a firm number by next August, we have to roll a little bit of notes forward from the high school
Right.
project,
Okay,
which, again, is not ideal. Maybe we'll fund it internally, what the number is, we'll see what the number ends up being at that point, maybe we'll just eat our own cash balance and go from there, but just keep that in the back of your mind, it may not be finished by next August for high school.
is August the only month that we do?
No,
bond?
well, the problem is, it's like $100,000 to go into the market,
Okay,
every time you go into the market, so we try to do it once a year in August, and everything times to that schedule, we're trying to avoid
Okay.
out-of-pocket expenses if we can.
okay. I just wanted to know
Yeah.
what the reason was why it's that, so it's a cost factor.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you so much for that, Anthony. All right, on to, there's nothing on resignation and appointments. Go to 12, unfinished business, discussion and action. First item on here is proposed North Branford High School athletic storage building. There's no action per se. There was, Mike and I received an email with a notice from their attorney. It's in your packet from Shipman in regards to, here it is. It's a memorandum to the Board of Ed in regards to this, and Mike did hand this over to the town attorney. So Brian, can you just comment on this?
Yeah, briefly, they addressed the issue and made the point that the Board of Education maintains discretion how to use and transfer appropriated funds, which I don't disagree with. The question is, should they have competitive bidding for any expenditure of those funds? We have a town ordinance 8410 entitled appropriately competitive bidding required. All purchases of and contracts for supplies and contractual services shall be based on competitive bids. So I think the Board of Ed cannot ignore the fact, not only is it required by your ordinance, it's frankly good practice to have a competitive bid when you're buying things. If you are appropriating the money, your purchasing director under the statute is not the purchasing director or the purchasing agent of the board. It doesn't mean the board can ignore competitive bidding and just purchase anything it wants, any way it wants for the money that is appropriated to it.
Okay,
You
so,
should have competitive bidding.
so the motion that we made in July, that the council made in July in regards to this project, because this project was not in the Board of Ed's capital, it was nowhere in their budget. It's not in the council's budget at all, so no money has been appropriated on either side for this project. So our motion stated that we approved the concept, but the Board of Ed had to come back to us with a budget and funding sources. And it's my understanding, under your direction, you had given us what the motion should read, and the reason for that was not so much, we're not saying that we're controlling how they're spending their money. We are concerned because it's not budgeted, that if they start the project and they don't have enough money to fund it, who's paying for it? Because it's not in our budget and it's not in their budget. So we just need the budget and the funding sources to make sure that the project can be completed.
Absolutely, because it's on your property, it's on town property, you wouldn't want any department to start a project, not knowing if they have enough money to finish it. Assuming they have half the money, or even a shell of a building, you have a hazard constructed, something you don't want. You need to know the scope, and I think that's the appropriate way you motion the scope, the funding source, so you know exactly what is being built on town property, because you as a town have to assume the maintenance of this. I mean, you know, that go for basic, it's your building effectively, it may be under their control while it's a school, but it's still on town property.
Did we not turn it over to the permanent projects committee?
Well, they'll
For
oversee.
them to oversee of what they do and how they spend the money?
There's no money to be spent, I guess that was part of the.
Well, a lot of it is all donations.
Yeah, but that's what you asked before they
Right.
embarked on the road of building, if you have enough donations to build the actual building as opposed to a portion and just charge down that road.
So we have to,
Right.
it's my understanding, we have to have another vote to formally accept the whole thing once we see their budget and their funding sources to make sure that they have enough money and donations.
So I talked to John Florio on Monday, this past Monday, last week, specifically about this, and he assured me, first one, he said that the Permanent Project Committee has approved everything, even the money and everything, and that he assured me that everything is all funded and everything is ready to go.
But we haven't seen that. That's the problem.
Well, then you have to get John Florio or
Right, that-
somebody from the.
No, we did. Mike sent an email to the superintendent, and the board chair requesting, based on the motion we made in July.
Right.
Requesting a budget and the funding sources. And on their donations, the people, we need to see kind of like a commitment letter. So if someone is donating electrical services, what's the dollar amount? So if their budget says they have 20,000 in electrical, but they only have 5,000 in donations, where are they coming up with the other $15,000?
I agree with you, I totally, so that we have to get them back here to,
Right, and so we did request that.
Yep.
And and we asked to have that information by October 10th so that we could have it on the agenda tonight. The superintendent responded back and said that they would not have it for this meeting. So that's why it's under unfinished business, so that hopefully by next month they have that. Because they can't go forward to planning and zoning and inland wetlands if they have to, or whatever permits they need or permissions from other boards, because we have not formally accepted the project. Because we don't have that information. And so that's what we were requesting. That's all we were requesting.
But they're still required to follow all the town
Correct.
regulations, right?
Correct.
It's a town project,
Right.
they gotta follow all the rules.
Also, what I understand from John Florio is they have. They've gone through, they've done the motion, they've gone through the motions.
Well,
of
how-
making
They
sure
have
it's
to
all.
give it to us, though, we
I
have to
don't,
see it.
It
you have
starts
to
here.
talk to them, I don't understand, because I did tell them
Well-
that we.
Well, they
as a
didn't go
council,
through bid, there's been no bids. The permanent project has not accepted any bids.
I
So
don't
that's,
know if there is any bids.
There has to be.
There are none. There should be, but there are none.
Well, there's only, the only one
And
that
that-
I understand that there is for the lumber. Because that's
No,
the
that's
one
not a bid. So we need to clarify something, because this is what frustrated me when they were here, is just because you get on the phone and you call 3 people and you get prices from 3 people, those are not bids.
Hey, I am totally on
Right,
board
bids,
with
there's a
it.
bid process, and the bid process, in my thought process, is extremely important, because that's what keeps everything ethical and above board.
Absolutely, it's a process.
Right,
and-
and I think they had a hard time understanding that. We're not going after them saying they did anything wrong, we're just letting them know, this is the process, this is why the process is the way it is, and we need to follow it. We can't start making exceptions like that, we can't let that stuff happen, because that's when stuff goes sideways, and then next thing you know, there's a news article about something and everything else,
Oh, you didn't know
and
about that.
we have to do things above board, and we have to
Absolutely.
follow town policy.
So,
Right.
I'm just saying what my conversation with John Florio was.
right,
Where
so
are
the
you?
town manager
Blah, blah,
has.
blah, kind of
Yeah,
thing,
so there has been communication, and that's how we did it. We got this notice from Shipman here, so we just wanted to address that. Mike will be sending another email tomorrow based on this, the town attorney saying, you know, that this is what we need. So until we get that from the Board of Ed, we cannot move forward.
Right.
And so it'll just stay on our agenda.
And they also shouldn't be going forward with the zoning applications because you're technically, everything is the applicant already has to consent with the property owner.
Correct.
But I can't go and do a zoning application for any of your homes because they have authority to do that.
Right.
So the question is why would they send an attorney's letter? For what reason? Is it because we're requesting this information?
Yes. Because we asked for a budget.
Right, and so he sent an attorney's letter stating that,
That we can't,
that they shouldn't have to?
well, the point was, by state statute, we cannot, once we appropriate money, we cannot tell them how to spend it. And we are not asking for that.
We're just asking for.
This wasn't in their budget. They didn't so because they didn't have anything in their budget to begin with, and this is something new, and they're using funds, you know,
Outside funds.
well, they're using donations and funds from other sources within their budget, which they're allowed to do, that's fine. We just need to know what that is, so that if the project's 75,000 or 100,000, whatever it is, we just need to know that everything balances.
I'm with you.
Because it's
I'm
on
totally-
town property, it's, and we have to give the final say on it. So that's all that we're asking. We're not asking,
I mean,
telling them that they
why-
can't
why are
appropriate
they-
the money.
Why are they so adamant?
I,
That's for them to answer. I mean, you said, we asked them for this, and then they delivered an attorney's memo, and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're telling them what they need, and we haven't got it yet, so we're waiting to get it. When we get it, it'll happen.
It's just
Right.
hurting the kids. I just, this is just.
yeah, so
killing
I
the
mean,
kids.
yes, so we'll just wait. It'll stay on our agenda until we get the information.
Sorry, I just want.
And move forward.
I think we want to get this done, we should have to
Yes.
get the right
We'd like to
iteration.
get this done.
Yeah,
Let's just,
We understand that, but we also have to set precedent for the right way to do it.
it's a process.
right.
We want to get it done, it's a good cause.
So, okay, the next item is update on solar credits.
You have the 2 packets the A field and the B field, the credits continue to be significant. In yellow, you see the numbers. If you have the A field information, the top number is the $51,000 credit. I did include in your packet the Jerome Harrison bill, which ends up with that $88,000 credit. Again, to show you that these numbers are real, contrary to what people may think. So again, it's very favorable to the town. We are working, I was on a call last week with our guy Greg and Lori from the Board of Ed, and we're trying to defer or alter the contract, because the high school, as we all talked about for 100 years, the high school costs have tripled. And it's trying to get these credits that we're never going to use otherwise onto the high school account to bring that back into line. On the B field, there's no really big user. I did provide you the NBIS bill, again, as backup to show you that the numbers are real. The bill balances are $172,000 credit balance, again, which we're probably never going to use unless we can get that to be transferred to another school or another user. But there's nobody to that magnitude. So we're trying to work with UI. There's some regulations as it relates to identifying different accounts because of the arrangement through the state. Our guy Greg wasn't 100% sure of the exact process to take the credits from account A and put them onto account B. But it's real money, and it'll hopefully keep us again from having to pay electric bills for a while. But as you can see, the numbers are pretty significant. There are a couple of smaller ones that we do owe money on. The sewer metering pit, the credits don't cover that. Street lights, the credits don't cover that. So we may, on that B field, move some of those credits towards the street lights and other ones that have positive balances, again, to offset it's churning dollars that we're never going to use otherwise.
Great.
So it's favorable. It's good news.
Okay, so I asked to have this put on the agenda only just to get an update, because when we did the budget, and we were talking with the Board of Ed, at that time, we had the UI bills through March of this year, March of '24.
Correct.
And through the Board of Ed's buildings on here, at that time, it was roughly a $325,000 credit. But we knew that we still had a couple months to go and there would be usage. So when we were talking about their budget and came up with a figure to put into their Fund 25, which is the amount of money up to 2% of their budget that they can bring over, we reduced that amount down to $275,000. And it was just a best guess estimate based on the figures that were given to us at that time. So I wanted to see what the credits actually ended up with for June, and this is through July 2nd, so this is as close as we're going to get to June 30th. And if you add up the four schools that are on here, including the auditorium, they're at $367,000. So our estimate of $275,000, we're $92,000 short of what. So they actually ended up with more credit than what we had estimated on there. And that was one of the reasons I had asked to see this, because that did come into play during the budget season. So they actually are up by $92,000 in credits on their electric account, according to all of this information in the backup. So thank you, Anthony, for putting this all together for us. Okay, now we're going to move on to disposition of certain town-owned properties, 824 referral for the following. So this was one of our discussions on last month's agenda. The Blueprint Committee brought forward these 5 properties for possible disposition. They're town-owned properties. So there's a process that has to be followed in order to do that. And I'm going to turn it over to the town attorney to let him give us that process.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's actually 2 statutes that come into play. The first is 8-24 that states that no legislative body shall sell any municipal property until it's been referred to your planning commission. It's just to get the opinion of the planning commission regarding the sale in this case. They do not have ultimate authority. By a supermajority, you can override a negative vote of them deciding the sale of any property in this case. If they fail to act within a certain number of days after notice, I think it's 35 days, it's deemed an approval. But you have to send it to the number one for an 824, we call it, review as a planning agency. There's also another statute that comes into play, 7163E, and that requires a public hearing and public notice, both in the paper as well as a sign on the property. If there's going to be any sale or transfer of any real estate owned by a municipality. So there's an exception to that, that if the property value does not exceed $10,000, you don't need to have the sign, you don't need to have the public hearing regarding the transfer of the property. There's also an exception to the exception. If any of these properties have been designated as playgrounds, parkland, or open space, the town is required to have that public hearing before you can transfer them. But assuming none of these are parkland, open space, or playgrounds, and if the value does not exceed $10,000, you don't have to have that public hearing.
Okay, so the first step is an 824 referral,
You start with
regardless.
824, and then you send them out for 7163E as appropriate. I don't know if we have values that you have to be.
Now, that can be for, so,
You do it as a separate phase, there's no.
right. So, so these are the 5 properties. And I had discussed this with Mike and Brian. I think the easiest way is just to keep them together, you know, instead of doing a separate 824 referral, even if we don't take action on all of them at one time, is get the 824 referral for all of them at one time. So that's done. It never expires once it's done. And then we can obtain additional information as to the value of the properties. We can keep 1599 out of there. That's the old town hall site. That's going to take more work than the other parcels of land. So once we do the 824, then it can come back and we can get the other information as to the value of the land, what we want to do. If it's small, we can just talk to the neighbors. If they're not building lots, are they interested? You know, we can determine at that point in time. We don't have to do it all tonight.
It's a matter of getting that step done.
The first step.
Yeah, the first step done.
Is the 824 referral. So in order to do that, we'll need a motion from someone.
We have one written, pre-written.
There is not.
I'll make a
I didn't
motion to stipulate 821 referral.
The motion should be to refer 1599 Foxton Road, 127 Old Post
Okay.
Road, 53 Knitted Drive, 672 Totoket Road, and 293 Sea Hill Road to the Planning Commission for a Connecticut General Statutes 8-24 review.
As stipulated by town attorney, as my motion.
Okay. Motion has been made by Deputy Mayor McMillan, seconded by Councilor Goode. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now on to new business discussion and action. Proposal for comp time for administrators under defined circumstances.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and council members. This is an item that I brought before the Finance Committee on August 13th. But essentially, I'd like to have the discussion with the council about the possibility of being able to dispense compensatory time to administrators under certain circumstances. Administrators are FLS exempt and on a salary basis, and as a result, they are sometimes expected to work beyond 35 hours. In attendance at certain evening meetings, of course, is expected with their roles. Certainly, if I were to take somebody who's here, for example, I'll use Anthony, right? So he's going to come here for the council meeting, then he's going to be here for a pension meeting, and then he might be here for a finance meeting. Those are all expected parts of his role as an administrator, and all administrators know and understand that. The kinds of things that I'm thinking about and the circumstances that I'm considering this for is when it exceeds that to a point where we ought to be thinking about compensating them. When I think about certain administrators, I might think about in Park and Rec during POCO, when I have, 2 administrators over there that are spending, that can put in an 80-hour week getting POCO prepared, and we don't compensate them for it. And I don't think that's fair. So it's a situation like that. I might be thinking about, say, our purchasing agent, Mike Fumiati, who, when he took this position here, he was told he would be supporting the Permanent Project Building Committee for one Monday every month, and of course, it's become every Monday of his life. So for those of us who go to these Monday meetings too, they know. So it's meant so that when it reaches a certain threshold above and beyond what might ordinarily be expected, and it caps out at 35 hours per calendar year. If somebody is, in that situation where they would be awarded this extra comp time, they couldn't exceed in a year 35 hours of being compensated. It's a way for us to help offset those additional expectations that they all cheerfully step forward and do. But I think it's a way for us to recognize that additional input that they give us and show that they're valued, and certainly I think helps with retention of people who are in those positions. Certainly if you're in a position like that and it's expected of you year after year after year to do that without any compensation at all, I wouldn't blame somebody for looking elsewhere. So that's what it's meant to address. Finance Committee had asked that we draft this up as a comp time policy so that you could look at it and see how it would be actually drafted up as part of the policy package. And so that is included with your memorandum. And I thank you for your consideration on this.
Okay, so can we get the motion on the floor before we go into discussion?
I'll do it. Make a motion that the North Branford Town Council hereby authorizes the town manager to dispense compensatory time to administrators under conditions defined in the attached administrator compensatory time policy.
Second?
Motion has been made by Councilor Palladino, seconded by Deputy Mayor McMillan. Discussion?
The only question I have, Mike, is I know when I worked for the state, it was defined that comp time was earned in quarters of an hour, and I didn't see anything in here. I just breezed over it, it might be in there, but that was.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, because then, if somebody, you can break down the time, so if somebody needs to, if they earn it in 15-minute increments.
Yeah. I didn't spell that out, and we could certainly do that. I think, the way I termed it was on a 1-to-1 ratio. So if someone were to put in and say, putting in a form and asking for 15 minutes of comp time is unlikely. I don't know that anyone would go to the bother if they spent 15 minutes above it. But if we wanted to parse it out and say, somebody says, I did 8 hours, 8.5 hours, they would be awarded it on the 1-to-1 basis. So, just because I don't necessarily spell out the increments here,
So
they would.
I saw the form in there, but in the way you see it, it's all planned and requested, so there's not gonna be any comp time given for unplanned occurrences?
Planned is ideal, obviously, and encouraged, but I wouldn't want to close the door on the possibility that something happens that is unplanned and they spend additional time, but they would still have to go through the process of, after the fact, asking me to get approval for it.
So what happens if somebody has an unplanned 45 minutes? How does that work? If it's just an hour 1-to-1, do you just round up to an hour, or do you give them the 45?
I think it's unlikely that I'm going to get a request for 45 minutes, because I think this is really meant to be above and beyond. Administrators are here after hours above and beyond the 35 hours doing meetings usually.
No doubt.
So,
I just, just because I've dealt with this for a long time, and it seems like sometimes it just makes it easier if you break it down. It's still a 1-to-1, so if you work a half an hour, you get a half an hour. but it's not.
Yeah, there wouldn't be
power per
anything
hour.
here that would stop anybody from sending a request to me for 45 minutes. It would
Just
be
asking
outside
a
of the
question.
policy, right?
Whatever you feel is best.
Yeah.
How many administrators does this affect?
It would be all of everyone who's an FLS exempt administrator, so that would be all, what is it, 23, 24?
23.
Yeah,
But a lot of them don't have, people, some
Right.
of those people in that category
probably not likely to be doing.
don't do
this-
meetings or anything like
Yeah.
that. So the actual number out of the 23,
Yep.
you
I mean,
know,
you're talking about department heads really specifically, not assistant department heads likely, except maybe in the case of Park and Rec, because there's those additional hours with, POCO, but most of them would just be department head level.
Yep.
So probably about half of those.
and they might also they might end up with 60 compensatory hours, but they're limited to only 35, that they can only
Sure.
earn 35.
Correct.
40 in the case of Public Works, because that's what their work week is based on. But, so it's very possible that those people putting in have more time than the 35. They exceed that 35
almost certain
hours,
they
but they're
would.
capped at
Yeah.
35.
Right. They would only be able to get the 35
Right.
maximum.
So, I'm for this, by the way, so I don't want it to come across like I'm not, but it also says compensatory time has to be used within 90 days or it will expire. So, let's say I have my 35.
Yep.
I take 8 hours for a long weekend, and my time drops. Do I now have the opportunity to earn back another 8 hours after that?
Not if you've hit your cap at 35 hours.
So you're saying they can't replenish it? Right.
Right. So for example, I can't, if I understand what you're saying, Burley, so if I've earned 35
Yep.
hours of comp time and then I go and take 8, the next week I come back and then I try to get another 8, can't do it because they've already capped out at earning 35.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
No, there is I think Ron, you just pointed out to us, but gonna be my question, how long do you have to use the comp time? Because I don't have I don't
Right.
have my computer with me, so I don't have
Yep.
that document with me.
Yeah, I'll just read the section for you. It says compensatory time must be used within 90 days of being granted or it will expire. These 90 days may span across fiscal years.
Okay.
So you're saying it'll carry over?
The fiscal year it could, yeah. Mhm.
Right, so if they earned it in June, fiscal year ends June 30th, they have their 90
They
days.
would
So
still
you're-
use, they would still be able to use just it's the 90 days, right?
They're in there, into
Do you
the
want to
fiscal-
do that from a housekeeping standpoint, or would you rather just say by the end of the fiscal year that all the time needs to be used? Because otherwise, it's going to be a lot on you or whoever else to keep track of it, right?
I mean, I thought the 90-day term might make it more palatable for you, but if the council doesn't have any objection to that, I'm certainly
I mean,
fine.
30
with it.
Making them use it. It's like, here it is, now you gotta.
Because
use
I
it.
know,
Yeah.
like, I don't want to speak for anybody, so I won't mention any names, but my worry is that we do have administrators that work very hard and they put in a lot of extra time. So let's say they get their 35 hours, but let's say they get their 35 hours, sorry, Fran, I'm going to use you as an example. Franny gets his 35 hours in the springtime because of snow plowing. And now he's coming into his busy season of taking care of fields and projects and everything else like that. He doesn't have the time to take. He doesn't have the 90 days to take that time. I think if we're going to do it, we should at least give him the whole fiscal year. This way, if he runs into his busy season, he can then take it in the fall when things slow down, right before he gets busy again in the winter and stuff like that.
I would consider that a friendly amendment to this.
Yeah, 90 days out, I agree.
I think it should. If you're just going to cap him at 35 and you're not going to let him reload
Yep.
like that, then I think give him the whole fiscal year.
I'd be in favor of that.
Anybody disagree?
I think that's a good idea. Otherwise, people be trying to cram time in, and it might get could get difficult.
Yeah. I mean, somebody could always come to me and ask for an extension too, which, I could grant, but
Do you have a document for that too?
Of course.
So are you saying they have a 1-year time to take it from when it's earned instead of,
Yeah, you said fiscal year, so that, like, if you got it in December, that's what I was asking Rose.
Well, I mean, it has to be a way to,
It has to be a way to
Look at, I
elongate
would,
that.
instead of 90 days, so you're saying like a year from when it was granted, I think, is what you're saying, right?
If
That
that-
way it avoids, oh, well, I'm earning my comp time, but I'm running up on the edge of the fiscal year, so now it's, you
Yeah,
get the
you
impression you're
just
trying to
gotta,
avoid.
gotta try to make it simple too, that you can manage it, because you don't
Yeah.
want it to get out of control.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
I like it.
yeah, so I guess we would just change the 90 days to
Sure.
1 year.
Do that.
Fair.
Okay, so the people that made the motion and the second, do you want to amend it to make that?
Yeah, I'd like to amend it to change the 90 days of being granted to 1 year.
And who seconded it? You?
A second.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries with the amendment.
Great, thank you.
Next is NIP fund request, recycle bins for DPW yard.
So I have a memo before you. I don't know if Dan wants to come up, because of course he's been acting as our liaison with Solid Hazardous Waste Recycling Committee. But essentially they're putting forward a request to obtain some recycle bins that would be stationed at the DPW yard. This was prompted by my attempt to clean up the entryways here where some recycle boxes have been stored and there's been overflowing batteries and things like that, and just kind of put them in one location where residents could count on that they could deposit this stuff there. They're asking to be funded out of the NIP fund, and that they be authorized by the council for an amount not to exceed $4,500 to do this.
I think that's fine.
And NIP fund has over $35,000 in it currently.
And the NIP fund gets replenished or we get money in it every year from the state, correct? Okay.
who's gonna monitor what goes in these bins?
Public Works.
The Haz Waste Committee, the volunteers are there pretty often, so they're gonna monitor it.
Okay, I just don't want you guys to end up with a situation where it's supposed to be for batteries and somebody dumps a gallon of paint in there and it's a disaster and it becomes a nightmare for you guys.
Yeah, there'll be a little monitoring right off the bat. One day down the road, we plan to have cameras to hopefully help, mitigate that, but yeah, it
I
could be
think
a little bit of a challenge at first.
Yeah, I mean, I think the good thing about doing it there is that if there is an overflow situation or if they miss it, Public Works is there to do it, as opposed to it like piling up in the entryway to Town Hall or
Sure.
something. Yeah.
Well, I just think it makes it more convenient.
It is, right.
Absolutely.
Because the
right
town
spot.
hall is closed, locked down and they can't get in, and Public Works where they're going, it's open and the boxes are locked
Yeah.
on the bottom to retrieve the stuff, but they can still dump stuff whenever.
Makes sense.
24/7, 365, it's gonna be there.
Yes.
What is the NIP
fund?
It's from the state on those little nip bottles. We get so much,
Everything on the side of the road, throw it in your car.
we get so much from the state
Think about
that they give us.
your ride home.
The various distributors, alcohol distributors, based on how many
Brian
get
has a
popped.
case in his car.
Yeah, Brian does this.
Yeah,
Brian, tell us
but his
about
is
it.
all Jägermeister, I think, so.
So, didn't we talk about using that for something else, I thought?
Yes, out of that fund, they also get paid mileage to pick up the
Okay,
plastic
yeah, I knew there was
and
something
stuff,
on that,
but-
that's what I recall.
And we pay the
Part-time trash
gentleman that
picker.
goes around, picks up trash in the parks as well,
Okay.
for the NIP fund.
Dan, did you say that area is gonna be open 24/7?
24/7, 365, yeah, it's gonna be there.
Kind
They're
of
like
back to
US
what Ron was referring to there, I do worry about having
uncontrolled.
that just sitting there like that, because then everybody can take anything they want to get rid of and say, it's a good spot, I'll leave it, because then Franny will deal with it.
True.
It happens now?
We do that now.
There's a side effect. They do that at the parks. We go there and there's a TV and a bureau sitting next to the trash cans. We've had some pretty crazy ones over the years.
Yeah, so it's right outside the recycling building is where you plan on putting these,
Yep.
correct?
I think we'll probably mitigate a lot of people, I mean, not that many people pulling up.
Camera would
that
be good.
area.
That'd be a
Thank
good
you,
place to have a camera.
Yeah.
There's cameras in the area.
We'll pay them out of the NIP fund.
NIP fund. Lucrative. All right, here's the motion. Motion that the town of North Branford hereby authorizes the purchase of 3 exterior drop bins for recycle collection at the Department of Public Works headquarters for the amount not to exceed $4,500 from the town's NIP fund.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion was made by Deputy Mayor McMillan, seconded by Councilor Miller. Is
Yes,
it-
ma'am.
Okay. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries.
Also a big fan of the NIP fund.
Okay. All right. Now on to proposed creation of fund for the sale of town flags.
Yes, Madam Mayor, as I mentioned in my report earlier, we had envisioned the idea of having the town flag produced and making some available to local residents who might want to display it and show community spirit and pride at their homes. So in order to get this ball rolling and for us to be able to get some flags in to sell, I had Anthony draft up a memo, which is before you right now, which would help create this revolving account to enable us to move forward with that.
I'll make the motion. You have, let's see here, suggested motion. Be it hereby resolved that the North Branford Town Council directs the Treasurer or Finance Director to account for the purchase and sale of the town flags in the Reserve Fund, Fund 2901.
Second.
Motion was made by Deputy Mayor McMillan, seconded by Councilor Diamond. Discussion?
Just want to note that your forthright thinking of this beautiful flag and its gorgeous color. I appreciate that. The town appreciates it. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Vote for it, even though the color
All in favor?
Hang on one second, I'm sorry.
What? Yeah.
Is that just gonna go into the general fund, or do you wanna specify where, I mean, I don't know.
That's why it's totally separate, it's not general
Yeah.
fund. It's
Okay.
a separate reserve fund on the side. So it won't impact general fund at all, the sales or the purchase of the flags, it'll be just through this separate.
And we'll just
Sales could be in
recycle,
millions.
because as we sell them, it'll replenish the fund when people buy them.
So, and what will you be selling?
A 3x5 outdoor version of the flag that's right behind you there, the Newtown flag.
3 by 5.
All purple, all 100%
3
purple
3 foot by
background.
5 foot or
You can get
3
it.
3 foot by 5 foot,
If you
yeah.
want valances and drapes, you
Yeah.
can get those.
3 by 5 is a standard size that most people would use to display at their houses. I mean,
Is that what that is?
that is
No.
not. That's an indoor. What is that?
This
That might
is
be
bigger.
5
About
by
the
8.
size that people have hanging outside their door.
4 by 6.
4 by 6, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're overflying, Mike. You're overflying the flag.
That's bigger than.
Nice flag.
Will they have tassels?
They won't have tassels.
They're outdoor.
These will be outdoor quality. Only the indoor ones
Cannot
have
take
the
that one.
tassels on it, so.
Mine tasseled.
Probably if we place the order tomorrow, probably 2 weeks.
Time for holiday shopping.
Yes. Yes.
Guess what we're all getting for Christmas?
I like it.
She gave away my surprise.
I like last year's vote.
I will
Any-
probably
Run that up my pole, no doubt about it.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Okay. Next item, proposed donation of tractor pull funds to the Chickarelli Farm. So this, as we know, as we heard from Cliff earlier, he runs the tractor pulls, there's 3 per year, on behalf of the Agriculture Commission. And so he has asked if we could donate to the Chickarelli Harrison Farm. And I did talk to Anthony today to ask how much, I know that it varies on the tractor pulls, how much we've taken in, how much is in the town account, because there's also expenses that go along with this, so we don't want to exceed our
Right,
expenses.
so this went over for the last fiscal year. You'll notice that In some cases, there's a net loss, some cases a little bit of a profit. I think the intention, if you were to step back and look at it, is it's not to be a moneymaker. This is another thing that's run off the general fund. It's run in a separate fund that has a $300 revolving amount that Cliff uses to buy expenses out of and then gets reimbursed through. It's not designed to be a moneymaker. It's more for the preservation of the agricultural heritage of the town.
Yeah.
So again, you'll see the October 24, the revenue is blank because that's the revenue that's in question. That did not go to the town yet. $370 is what was brought in, which would be a positive for that particular event. But again, it has not, it's pending what you guys decide to do with the $370.
So if this, I mean, even with the 370, the net amount would be a negative balance? How is?
Over the last 2 years, yeah.
Right, so where does that money come from then to make up for?
It stays, like I said, he has a $300 revolving account. It's one of these it's not general fund, it's a separate, it's the tourism fund. So there's a little bit of money in there left over when we got tourism money 100 years ago.
Yeah.
That's where that comes out. There's a little bit of interest in there, and that's where the deficits would come out of the tourism fund.
Okay, all right. So I did talk to Cliff about this because he specifically asked about Ciccarelli's, and there was a GoFundMe page. And my concern with this is that we've had other farmers besides Ciccarelli that did this. So to my knowledge, it was Ciccarelli's, Rosa Bianca, and Bishop's up in the Northford area that were affected by this hailstorm. And so I would not be in favor of doing it just to Ciccarelli's, but to equal amounts to all three of the farms that were affected by it. And if it's the $370 on there, I would just, for accounting purposes and transparency, we would need them to fill out a W-9 form just so that we can cut a check to them on there. And so I would see we would divide it up so it'd be roughly $120 per farm that we give them as.
It might make more sense to revisit this and see if there's a better way to go about this. I'm not sure if $120 or even really $300 something is going to make a difference. It's certainly a nice gesture, and it's something we care about. And clearly, Willie knows that we're behind him and we're behind all the other farmers within our town. Make sure that they know that we care about them. We understand their good work is what keeps us running, and keeps us fed. But to your point, I think it would be short-sighted to only consider that Ciccarelli's farm was the only one that was, affected. We should be aware of the others. I would say that maybe we give this another look and see if there's a better way to do this through some type of form of donation or some other methodology.
I had asked last meeting, I had asked about possibly a tax break or something for the farmers.
Right.
That would.
You did, and I actually referred that to the town attorney who's currently reviewing it because there may be a hiccup with us just being able to make a at-will exemption based on that.
Did we declare an emergency during that, or can we ex post back up?
I issued a declaration of local public emergency.
So
Mike and I went out there and we had to do that in order for them to start the process with any of the agencies.
Okay.
But is there a way, maybe not calling it property taxes, but is there a way as a town that we can donate somehow out of our funds somewhere in the town with all the money that we do spend? Can we somehow, as a town, make a donation to those three farms? What would be the way that we could do this?
I mean, you're typically going to have to do it through some type of fundraising effort, not necessarily from town budget. And that, I mean, I don't know if you can do it.
Is there any?
I mean, I think
it's got to be.
If you're going to go that route, I probably would suggest something more akin to what we did with, was it the relief that we did? I know the mayor spearheaded a relief program for Ukraine. Maybe something in that spirit where we, sponsor fundraising, under our auspices, and then do that.
Sure.
Madam Mayor and I had a very nice phone call yesterday. I was too one-sided, and definitely it shouldn't be just for one person. I mean, that was my thought, but she brought up the fact he wasn't the only one affected. We shouldn't shouldn't show priorities. So I agree, it should be split up whatever way. This is a one-time deal. I mean, I operate on a shoestring, as Anthony knows. I buy everything on sale. I mean, next year's ribbons, I wait till February when there's no business for Hodges. I buy on sale. I'm like a Jewish grandmother. I won't buy full price.
Wonderful.
Sorry about that. I have to do.
You make note of that.
Don't normally do that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm old school, so I was raised different. Okay,
Subject
so
matter
again,
expert.
whatever you guys decide, it was a good conversation, a three-way split, however you want to do it. I would be happy to round it off to 400 if you want.
I have a suggestion.
Yes.
We're a farming community, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna be selling flags. Maybe we can sell more flags if the profits from the flags go to the farming community that was affected by the storm.
Do that.
Well,
Take a portion.
Very good.
So maybe everybody in town will buy a flag.
Then you get.
There you go.
Except there's no profits.
There's no profit.
Because we're probably gonna be buying the flags at about $37.50 a piece, and we'll sell them at even 40. It'll be like, we could adjust the price of it, so we could say like, all right, if you're gonna buy it for 45 or 50, 10 of it goes to the fund or something like that.
The flags are that expensive, Mike?
$37 a
gorgeous
piece,
flags.
yeah. If I buy them at 100 count, if I buy them at higher counts, like if I could do 200 or something like that, the price drops, but then we're also shelling out a lot of money
How
up
much an
front.
American flag is.
I think it's purple that made it expensive.
I think so.
they're-
That dye.
They're double. Blue is much
That
cheaper.
dye.
It's regal.
Yeah.
Definitely regal.
They would do
Well,
that.
anyway, I'll back away from this. I'm happy. We had a very good conversation. I was too narrow-minded at the moment, heat of the moment. I had just returned from the Farm Aid situation, and every farm, not just, well, he got hit hard,
Yeah.
but
The
farms,
idea is there, let's bake it. Let's look at it and we'll bake it. We got a lot of
Okay.
stuff to work on with it, something we could bake.
yeah,
So let's just table this to next month and we'll check out some of these possibilities. Because
Okay.
we would like to, I think the council as
I'll
a whole
agree.
is in agreement that we would like to do something for the farms that were affected. And we just have to come up with the
Okay.
correct mechanism.
I'm
So,
sure the whole town wants to.
Yeah.
all right. I mean, like, once again, it was nice for the mayor to point out, really, Willie wasn't the only one affected. And we're a town that cares for everybody, not just certain, and it was just the heat of the moment.
Right. We
So, thank
appreciate
you.
your thought.
Thank you,
Well,
sir.
I know.
And bringing it forward to us.
Okay.
Okay.
And I think we'll have an answer to Councilor Gode's inquiry for next month relative to the tax relief proposal.
Okay.
Okay.
So do I have a motion to table this item?
I'll motion to table.
Okay, motion to table and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay, motion to table. Okay, next item, fire department, potential donation of Tower 1.
Yeah, as everybody's aware, we replaced Tower 1 in the last year with Truck 1, and we had several attempts to sell the surplus apparatus. It did follow the proper procedure. It went from the fire commission to the town manager for blessing. It was listed on several sites. It was listed on several Facebook pages that sell fire apparatus. It was listed on the vendor who sold us the current truck, an E1 dealer up in Massachusetts. There was one hit from a potential buyer in the south. When he was given the dimensions of the truck, it would not fit into his bay. That was the only serious inquiry we had. We did have an offer locally to do a barter type situation. The fire commission was not ready to jump on that one yet. As we saw in the last month or so, the floods in the North Carolina area have wiped out houses, fire trucks. There are several departments with no apparatus currently. I did contact the North Carolina Fire Administrator and had a brief discussion with him prior to bringing it to the Fire Commission. I did talk briefly with the manager, the mayor, to see if I was going to be like a you're nuts type attitude, but they both thought the idea had merit. And the truck is sitting outside. It's coming up to winter time. We've again made numerous attempts to try to sell it. It has not been favorable, and it might be an opportunity for us to help out the folks that have been devastated down in North Carolina.
I think this is a great idea. I think it shows the fabric of our town and our community and how we can help others from up here. It makes a lot of sense. Just to get a better idea of, if we were to go about this route, how could we transport this to that area? Would it be driven? Would it be on our insurance time during that time period? Would we find a community?
Beyond their responsibility to get it down south. I mean,
I would have a title transfer in Connecticut, so it's their insurance, their license.
Good. That's what I was thinking.
The problem is we don't title anything. We have just certificate of origin on apparatus. So we can sign that
We have
over.
appropriate paperwork, they're responsible.
So as long as we can get that paperwork through you and your team to make sure that we are not liable for,
There was discussion at the fire commission meeting also about removing the name, and the discussion was, well, leave the name on as it's driving down for people to see that North Branford is helping out. And then the stipulation would be when it got there before it goes to service, our name would have to come off.
Why don't we look into purchasing a small decal that says donated by above town of North Branford. And then if you want to add to it, to the town of XYZ, North Carolina. If you want the marketing aspect of it, which is fine with me, it's a nice way to do that. And then the stipulation is once it gets down there, that gets stripped off.
How will you determine who gets it?
The way the gentleman works, he said he's compiling a list of people that are donors and people that are requesters. He said, I'll put you in touch with somebody who's looking for a tower truck, you can work out with them, and the logistics, how it works out.
So it's kind of up to them
It's up
to
to
give
them
you
to get to match A with B, and then they would figure out who needs it the worst and make the arrangements. But I would not be involved in transportation of this. It'd be totally on their dime to drive it or flatbed it down to North Carolina. I think it's not responsible for us to drive it down there.
Good. That makes sense to me.
So there is a suggested motion.
Make that motion. Be it hereby resolved that the town of that the North Branford Town Council, in light of the devastating rains and floods caused by the Hurricane Helene, and based on the recommendation of the North Branford Board of Fire Commissioners, instructs the town manager to donate Tower 1, a 1989 E1 95 platform aerial apparatus, to the North Carolina Fire Service Administrator to assist the department who lost apparatus from the aforementioned flooding.
Second.
This is great.
The motion has been made by Deputy Mayor McMillan, seconded by Councilor Abelson. Discussion? Do we need to put something in the motion, Brian, about transportation is?
We'll take care of that.
Okay. All right, any other discussion?
It would be pretty nice to have some sort of like event or a see-off of that fire truck when it does go. That would be kind of.
I think we'd want to make sure we let the media know.
Yeah, make a big. That'd be pretty.
Make a big
pretty
deal
nice
about
the whole
it.
town get out there.
Yeah, I think once you have more information from North Carolina, like where it's going, stuff like that,
And
that would be a great idea.
It might take a little while. I mean, it could be months for all we know.
They're pretty devastated, so I'm not sure. As soon as we give them the holler that it's a go, they'll get back to us pretty quickly, I would imagine. But you're right, it could be a while for logistics of everything else and going through Brian and the different steps in the process. So.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Okay, financial report for 9/30/24.
The only thing that I wanted to point out, I did get an answer finally on the insurance part of the world that is over budget. And in talking to Michael Fumiati, the issue was that he was approached to buy $5 million of additional liability coverage by our agent. Based on the information they're seeing as far as litigation against municipalities, the price, it was minimal price, I forget the exact number, but he was advised to buy the additional liability coverage. That was not budgeted, and that's why you see that the insurance budget is 106% of budget. Aside from that, there's nothing really else remarkable. There's an increased amount of purchase orders. You'll notice on the second, the longer, the wider page, as we're encouraging departments to use purchase orders more, eliminate doing requests for checks. The revenue side of the house, again, is a little bit exceeding last year. We were 45.8% this year compared to 44.6% last year, which is favorable. And tax collection, again, up again, 53.9% this year, 53.7 even last year. So, again, nothing out of the ordinary to report. Another unremarkable report.
Okay, so on the insurance, so
Yes.
Expended and encumbered, we are roughly $27,000 more. Is that all attributed to?
That's what he explained to me today, because I asked him.
So 27,000 is not a little bit of money. And I think that should have come before us.
I'll get the exact details. There might have been other besides that. He did mention that the policy he thought was a small amount. Might be other things. Oh, and it was cars. Sorry. The automobile coverage was up based on new police cars, fire apparatus, public works vehicles. They raised the premium on automobile insurance as well.
So does our policy run fiscal year?
Yes.
So did we go out to bid on it? Or is everything just through the agent? Because at this cost,
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if he bids it annually or not. I know we bid the agent, I believe. I don't know if the agent goes out and shops annually for the individual price. I can get an answer from Mike on that real quick.
at this price, we should know that information.
Absolutely.
That's, you're talking almost $500,000.
Yep.
And to just have the agent and not bring that information back to us, I think is a mistake.
I'll
And,
get the exact details for you.
and we should have it, and the agent can do this so that it's in our budget. We know we have this discussion at budget time. The agent should be able to get us numbers. Because because I know in the insurance world, you know, people have seen large increases in their automobile, personal insurance, you know, coverages for hurricane and all that kind of stuff. And they know that, and we can't leave it up to our agent to make this decision for us.
I'll get a better explanation from Mike.
Okay.
Michael Ramsey next meeting.
Okay. Next item is approval of schedule for 2025. So in our packet is the agenda, sticking to one meeting a month. Is everyone in favor of sticking with one meeting a month? We tried it this year, and are we in favor of doing that? Because that's the way this schedule sits right there. Okay, all right.
I do have to say, kudos to Mike, because these meetings have been, and the mayor, I apologize. These meetings have been very well organized, and I don't think we've skipped a beat by doing one meeting a month, so thank you.
I think, and congratulations to Mike and to the staff, knowing that there's only one meeting a month, like, they need to have their stuff vetted and ready to go, and bring us stuff that's ready, and not, that we don't waste our time on stuff that we have to keep tabling.
And it's important to note that this isn't unusual. This is how typically most towns run. So it was kind of unusual to have the two. So it's the efficiency of the one per month.
So the only thing in question is the location of our budget hearing, which is April 1st. Last year we did it in the cafeteria of the new high school, which I don't know how people felt about that. It was all basically just department heads and everyone else, as we know, public came out.
The gymnasium this year, Lauren?
No, it's too hard to hear in those. My other suggestion would be the new meeting room at the PD. That can hold over 120.
You don't think that's small?
No. for the amount of people that come out.
Yeah.
And I think you can hear better in that room, and you have the technical capabilities of, putting stuff up. It's something to think about. We can always change.
It's a good room, and you're gonna get to test it next week, for those of you who are able to make it and not Zoom in, for the special council meeting. So,
Yes.
yep, I think it's a good choice.
I mean, we can leave it on here now for the high school cafeteria, because we can always change that part of it.
Yep.
It's more the dates.
Hopefully the heat's working.
Oh, the heat was working downstairs. It was the EEOC room. Yeah. So,
Yeah, hopefully.
do I have a motion to accept the schedule for 2025?
So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by Counselor Diamond, second by Counselor Miller. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Okay. So the next three items are all for executive session first, and then we'll come back to vote on it. It's approval of the collective bargaining agreement with the library staff, Teamsters Local 443, confirmation of the appointment of Mr. William Seward as the Emergency Management Director, and confirmation of the appointment of Mr. Chris Holden, which we'll come back to after we have executive session. So the next item is citizen statements and petitions. Any comments at this time? Okay, so do I have a motion to go into executive session?
Motion going to executive session?
Second.
The motion to state the reasons on the agenda.